My name is Camila, and I am 24 years old. On the outside, I look like any other young woman, chasing dreams, laughing with friends, pretending life is simple. But there's a part of my story that no one knows. A part I've kept hidden deep inside me. It's about a love I should never have allowed to begin. A love I thought was special, secret, ours. But secrets have a way of turning into shadows. And mine became the heaviest burden I've ever carried. Because the truth is, my secret love was also my biggest mistake. It all began 2 years ago. I had just started a new job at a downtown office in New York City. The building was tall, glass windows shining under the morning sun, and I remember feeling nervous as I walked through the lobby on my first day. That's when I saw him, Daniel. He was leaning against the reception desk, speaking to one of the managers. Tall, confident, with an easy smile that made people stop and listen. Our eyes met for a split second. And in that moment, something shifted. I felt my heart skip a beat, though I quickly looked away, pretending it meant nothing. Later that morning, he walked into the conference room where I was setting up my notes. "You must be new here," he said warmly, extending his hand. "I'm Daniel." I smiled nervously. "Camila." His handshake was firm, his eyes lingering just a little too long. And for the first time in a long time, I felt noticed. But then, I saw it. A silver band glinting faintly on his ring finger. And with it, a truth that should have been my warning. He wasn't mine to notice. He already belonged to someone else. Over the next few weeks, I saw Daniel almost every day. Sometimes in meetings, sometimes passing through the hallways, sometimes in the elevator when it was just the two of us. And every time, it was the same. A glance that lasted too long. A smile that lingered in the air. Words on the tip of our tongues that neither of us dared to speak. At lunch in the cafeteria, I'd catch him looking at me from across the room. The moment our eyes met, he'd quickly look down, pretending to check his phone. And yet, the corners of his mouth would curve ever so slightly, as if he couldn't help it. I told myself it was nothing. Just friendly looks. Just harmless moments. But my heart knew better. Because every time his eyes found mine, the world around me faded. And even though not a single word had been spoken about it, something dangerous was already beginning to grow. It happened late one evening. Most of the office had already emptied, the hum of computers fading as people left for home. I was still at my desk, finishing a report, when I heard footsteps behind me. Working late too? It was Daniel. He leaned casually against the doorway, his tie loosened, his sleeves rolled up. I smiled politely, trying to keep my voice steady. "Yeah, deadlines don't wait." He stepped closer, his voice softer now. "Camila, can I be honest with you?" My heart skipped. I looked up, and in his eyes, there was something raw, something I had seen 100 times in stolen glances, but never heard spoken aloud. "I feel something, for you," he whispered. "I know I shouldn't. I know this is wrong. But I can't ignore it anymore." The air between us grew heavy. My lips parted, but no words came out. Every part of me screamed to walk away. To stop this before it began. But then he added, almost pleading, "No one has to know." This can just be ours. I should have left. I should have said no. But instead, I nodded slowly, my chest trembling with fear and desire all at once. And in that moment, the first step into my secret love was taken. A step that would become the biggest mistake of my life. After Daniel's confession, I couldn't think straight. For days, his words played in my mind on repeat. I feel something for you, no one has to know. Every time I saw him, the silence between us felt louder. And every time our eyes met, I felt the same pull, the same dangerous spark. One evening, as I packed my bag to leave work, Daniel walked up beside me. He didn't say much, just smiled faintly and whispered, "Come with me. Just for coffee. Nothing more." I hesitated, my heart pounding. I knew it wasn't just coffee. But my feet still followed him out the door. We sat in a quiet cafe, tucked in a corner where no one could see us clearly. At first, we talked about work, about life, pretending it was harmless. But soon, his hand brushed mine across the table. And I didn't pull away. For the first time, I let myself believe his lie. That maybe love could exist in secret. That maybe stolen moments were enough. That night, as we said goodbye, he leaned close and whispered, "This is just between us. Our secret." I nodded, my voice barely audible. Our secret. And in that fragile agreement, I gave away a piece of myself that I would never get back. The days that followed felt like living two lives. By day, I was just Camila, focused, polite, the girl who worked quietly at her desk. But by night, I was something else. My phone buzzed with late-night texts from Daniel. "Can't stop thinking about you. Wish you were here." I would smile in the dark, clutching the screen to my chest like a guilty treasure. We met in hidden places, quiet cafes on side streets, parking lots late after work, corners of the city where no one knew us. He'd reach for my hand under the table, his thumb tracing circles on my skin. I'd laugh softly, trying to ignore the guilt pressing at the back of my mind. Every stolen glance, every stolen kiss felt like fire, dangerous, intoxicating, impossible to resist. I told myself it was love. That one day, it would all make sense. But deep down, I knew love wasn't supposed to feel like running in the shadows. Love wasn't supposed to make me look over my shoulder. Still, I stayed. Because even in the secrecy, even in the guilt, Daniel made me feel seen. And I wasn't ready to let that go. At first, I told myself this was happiness. The stolen laughs, the late-night drives, the secret messages that made my heart race. For the first time in years, I felt alive. I caught myself humming songs on the subway, smiling at strangers, feeling like I was walking on air. Daniel's words echoed in my chest all the time. "You're special to me. You make me feel free." But with every smile, came a shadow. A whisper in the back of my mind. Because every time he held my hand, I remembered the ring on his finger. Every time he kissed me, I thought of the woman waiting for him somewhere else. And that joy I felt so deeply, came wrapped in guilt. Guilt that clung to me like a second skin. Sometimes, late at night when I couldn't sleep, I stared at the ceiling and whispered to myself, "If this is love, why does it hurt so much?" I wanted to believe what we had was real. But deep inside, a part of me already knew. Real love doesn't have to hide in the dark. One afternoon, I met my best friend Olivia at a little diner near our neighborhood. We had been friends since college, the kind who could read each other's moods with just a glance. As I sat across from her, stirring my coffee absent-mindedly, she studied me closely. "You've been different lately," she said. Her tone wasn't playful. It was searching. I forced a smile, trying to cover my unease. "Different how?" She leaned in, lowering her voice. "You're distracted. Your phone lights up and you rush to hide it. Your smile looks forced. Camila, I know you." My heart skipped. I tried to laugh it off. "It's just work. Stress, you know." But Olivia didn't believe me. Her eyes narrowed, her voice heavy with concern. "Camila, if you're involved with someone you shouldn't be, please, stop now. Secret love never stays secret forever. And when it comes out, it destroys everything." Her words pierced straight through me. I froze, gripping my cup tighter, forcing my lips into another shaky smile. "Olivia. I promise, it's nothing." But even as I said it, my chest ached. Because deep inside, I knew she was right. Secrets have a way of surfacing. And mine was already dragging me under. Olivia didn't let it go. She leaned across the table, her eyes full of worry. "Camila, I'm serious. If you're seeing someone who belongs to someone else, you're only going to get hurt." Her words burned in my chest. I stared down at my coffee, my hands trembling slightly. For a moment, I wanted to confess everything. But instead, I looked up and forced a soft smile. "Olivia, you don't understand. He really loves me. He told me I'm the one. He just needs time." Olivia's lips pressed into a thin line. "Camila, if he really loved you, he wouldn't be hiding you. He wouldn't need time. He'd choose you now." I shook my head, tears stinging my eyes. "No, you don't see him the way I do. He's trapped, but he's trying. And when he's free, it'll just be us." "I know it." Olivia reached for my hand, her voice breaking. "You're building your future on someone else's lie. Please, Camila, don't let him take your heart down with him." I pulled my hand back gently, whispering with a shaky smile. "He loves me, Olivia. That has to be enough." But deep down, I felt the cracks forming. Because even as I defended him, a small voice inside me whispered, "If it was real love, why do you have to hide?" A few nights later, Daniel and I sat in his car, parked on a quiet street away from the city lights. The air was thick with silence, broken only by the faint hum of the engine. I stared out the window, my voice trembling. "Daniel, how long can we keep living like this? Sneaking around. Hiding. Do you ever think about us? About what comes next?" He sighed, leaning back in his seat. For a moment, I thought he wouldn't answer. Then he turned, his eyes soft, his voice low and reassuring. "Camila, one day, it will just be us. I promise. You have to trust me." My heart clenched at his words. They sounded so certain, so real, like a lifeline I had been desperate for. But when? I whispered, almost afraid of the answer. He reached for my hand, squeezing it gently. Soon. Just be patient. I need time to fix things. But when I do, we'll finally be free. Tears welled in my eyes as I clung to his promise like it was the only thing keeping me alive. In that moment, I believed him. I believed that love was worth the waiting, the hiding, the guilt. But what I didn't realize then was that promises are easy to give when you never plan to keep them. That night, after Daniel dropped me home, I couldn't sleep. His words echoed in my mind like a lullaby. One day, it will just be us. I promise. I sat by my desk with a small diary open in front of me. The pages were already filled with half-written thoughts, poems, and secrets I couldn't share with anyone else. Slowly, I picked up my pen and began to write his name. Daniel. I traced it over and over again, my handwriting shaky but soft, filling the page with his name as if it would bring me closer to him. And then, in small letters beneath it, I wrote, "Our future. Our love. Our someday." As the ink dried, I closed my eyes and let myself dream of a little apartment we'd share, of dinners together without hiding, of waking up to him without fear or guilt. For a moment, I let myself believe it all. I smiled through my tears, whispering to the empty room, "It's going to be real. He's going to choose me. He has to." But as I closed the diary and pressed it against my chest, a shadow of doubt still lingered. Because deep down, I knew the future I was dreaming of might never come. As I closed my diary and lay down in bed, another memory crept into my mind. A voice from long ago, my father's voice. I was 16, sitting at the kitchen table, complaining about a boy I liked who already had a girlfriend. I laughed it off, calling it just a crush. But my father grew serious. He leaned forward, his tone firm but gentle. "Camila, listen to me. Never build love on lies. If it starts in the dark, it will never survive in the light." I frowned, rolling my eyes the way teenagers do, but he didn't smile back. His words carried weight, even then. A secret love might feel exciting, but in the end, it only breaks hearts. Especially yours. My mother, washing dishes at the sink, glanced at me with tired eyes and added quietly, "Don't ever settle for being someone's hidden choice, Camila. You deserve to be seen." Back then, I didn't fully understand. But lying in my bed now, clutching a diary full of Daniel's name, their words came back to haunt me. And for the first time, I wondered if I was ignoring the very lesson they had tried to teach me. It was a Saturday afternoon when Daniel suggested we meet at a cafe on the other side of town. He said no one from work ever came there, that it was safe. For a while, it felt almost normal. We sat at a small corner table, sharing coffee, laughing about little things, his hand brushing mine under the table. And for a fleeting moment, I allowed myself to believe this was real, not hidden, not wrong. But then, the bell above the door chimed. A couple walked in, people from his office. I recognized them instantly. Daniel's whole body tensed. His hand snapped back from mine. He leaned closer, whispering urgently, "Don't look at them. Just don't." My chest tightened. The warmth of our secret melted into cold fear. I tried to sip my coffee, my hand trembling, while Daniel turned his face slightly away, pretending to scroll through his phone. The couple ordered at the counter, laughing, completely unaware of us. But Daniel's panic was written all over his face. "We have to go now," he muttered. Before I could respond, he was already standing, tossing a few bills onto the table. We rushed out into the street, the cool air hitting me like a slap. I looked at him, my voice breaking. "Why did you act like that? We weren't doing anything wrong." He glared at me, frustration in his eyes. "We were, Camila. And you know it. If they saw us together like that, it would ruin everything." His words cut deep. Because for the first time, I realized I wasn't someone he was proud of. I was someone he had to hide. That night, I sat on my bed replaying the moment in the cafe over and over again, the way Daniel had pulled his hand away, the panic in his eyes, the urgency in his voice. For a moment, it made me feel small. Like I was nothing more than a shadow in his life. Someone to hide, not someone to love. But then my phone buzzed. It was a message from Daniel. "I'm sorry about today. I just got scared. You mean everything to me, Camila. Please don't doubt that." My heart softened instantly. I clutched the phone to my chest, ignoring the ache inside me. I whispered to myself, "He loves me. That's all that matters." I convinced myself that his fear meant he cared. That his panic was proof of how much he didn't want to lose me. I brushed away Olivia's warnings. I ignored the echo of my parents' voices. Because in that moment, I only wanted to believe him. So I forced a smile through my tears and typed back, "I understand. I'll wait as long as it takes." And with that single message, I buried my doubts deeper. Choosing love over truth. A few days later, Olivia invited me over to her apartment. The moment I walked in, I knew something was different. She didn't smile, didn't joke like she usually did. Instead, she folded her arms, studying me carefully. "Camila," she said, her voice steady, "I need to ask you something, and I want the truth." I froze, forcing a nervous laugh. "What's this about?" She stepped closer, her eyes glistening with concern. "It's about him. Daniel. Don't deny it. I see the way you light up when your phone buzzes. I see the way you disappear for hours. And I see the sadness behind your smile. Tell me I'm wrong." My lips trembled. I looked away, clutching my bag, desperate to keep the secret alive. But Olivia didn't stop. Her voice grew heavier. "Camila, if he really loved you, he wouldn't hide you. He wouldn't keep you a secret. Real love doesn't live in the shadows." Her words cut like glass. Tears stung my eyes, but I forced a smile anyway, whispering, "You don't understand, Liv. He does love me. He just needs time. That's all." Olivia shook her head, her voice breaking. "No, Camila, you're the one who doesn't understand. He's protecting himself, not you. And the longer you believe his lies, the deeper you'll break." I bit my lip, blinking back tears. Part of me wanted to scream, to cry, to tell her she was right. But instead, I smiled through the pain, whispering the same words I had repeated 100 times. He loves me. And that's enough. But even as I said it, I wasn't sure I believed it anymore. That night, I came home and dropped my bag onto the floor. The apartment felt too quiet, too heavy with Olivia's words still echoing in my mind. If he really loved you, he wouldn't hide you. I sank onto the couch, my hands covering my face as the tears came fast, unstoppable. I loved him. I loved him more than I had ever loved anyone. But what if Olivia was right? What if all the promises, all the whispered somedays, were nothing more than lies to keep me waiting in the dark? I stood up and paced the room, my heart racing. I thought of the way he held my hand in secret but pulled away in public. The way he gave me flowers in the shadows but never dared to stand beside me in the light. My chest ached as I whispered to myself. Am I his love, or just his mistake? I collapsed to the floor, clutching my diary against me like it could hold me together. Tears soaked the pages as I flipped to the one where I had written his name over and over again. The ink was smudged now, blurred by the water of my own heartbreak. I pressed my forehead to the page and sobbed. Because for the first time, I admitted the truth. I wasn't sure if he was ever going to choose me. And yet, even in that moment of despair, I still wanted to believe in him. And that was the cruelest part of all. The next week, everything began to change. Daniel's late-night texts grew shorter. The words that once made my heart race, "I miss you, can't wait to see you," became simple one-word replies. Busy. Later. Can't. I told myself he was stressed, that work must have been piling up. But deep down, I knew something was shifting. When we did meet, it wasn't the same. He checked his phone constantly, barely looking at me. The warmth in his voice had turned into silence, the softness in his eyes replaced with distraction. One night, after waiting at a cafe for nearly an hour, I finally called him. The phone rang and rang until he picked up, his tone sharp. "Camila, I told you I'm busy. Stop calling so much." My chest tightened. I whispered back, I just wanted to see you. It's been days." He sighed heavily, his voice cold. "I'll call you when I can. Don't push me." And then the line went dead. I sat there in the cafe, surrounded by the hum of strangers' conversations, staring at my untouched cup of coffee. For the first time, I felt the crushing weight of being invisible, of being nothing more than someone's hidden secret. I forced a smile at the waitress as I left, but inside, my heart was breaking piece by piece. It was a Friday night when Daniel promised to meet me. "Just us, Camila. I'll pick you up after work," he had said. Those words were enough to keep me smiling all day. I dressed carefully, wearing the sweater he once said he liked, and waited by the corner of a quiet street where no one would notice us. The city lights glowed against the wet pavement. It had been raining since sunset. I stood under a small awning at first, checking my phone every few minutes. No message. No call. Minutes turned into an hour. The drizzle became heavier, soaking the ends of my hair, dampening my sleeves. Still, I waited. Every pair of headlights that passed made my heart jump. Maybe this time, it's him. But each car drove by, leaving me standing in the cold night alone. Finally, after nearly 2 hours, my phone buzzed. One message. Sorry. Couldn't make it. Busy. Will explain later. My chest caved in. The phone shook in my hands as tears mixed with the raindrops sliding down my face. I whispered into the empty street, "You promised." But there was no one to hear me. That night, I walked home drenched, shivering, my heart heavier than the rain-soaked clothes clinging to me. And for the first time, I realized, maybe I wasn't waiting for love at all. Maybe I was just waiting for someone who was never going to show up. For days, Daniel barely spoke to me. No late-night texts. No stolen moments. Just silence. I told myself it was just stress, that he would come back to me like he always did. But the silence grew louder, heavier. Then, one afternoon, I walked into the office, and the air felt different. Whispers floated from desk to desk, people smiling, congratulating each other. I stopped one of the girls in the hallway. "What's going on?" I asked, forcing a polite smile. Her eyes lit up. "Didn't you hear? Daniel proposed to his girlfriend last night. The pictures are all over social media." My stomach dropped. The ground seemed to tilt beneath me. I pulled out my phone with trembling hands, searching his name. And there it was, photo after photo of Daniel, smiling proudly, kneeling on one knee, sliding a ring onto her finger. His arms wrapped around her, his lips pressed to hers, his eyes glowing with joy. The same lips that had whispered "I love you" to me. The same eyes that once told me I was his future. I couldn't breathe. I turned and rushed into the bathroom, locking the door behind me. My phone slipped from my hands as I sank to the floor, my chest heaving with sobs. I was his secret, but never his choice. The words escaped my lips, raw and broken, echoing in the empty stall. And in that moment, I realized the truth I had been running from all along. I wasn't his love. I was just his mistake. I didn't remember how I got home that night. The walk, the train ride, the streets, they all blurred through a haze of tears. When I finally unlocked my apartment door, the silence felt unbearable. I collapsed onto the couch, clutching a pillow against my chest, sobbing so hard I could barely breathe. Moments later, there was a knock. I didn't answer, but the door opened anyway. It was Olivia. She rushed to me, her eyes widening at the sight of my trembling body. Without a word, she dropped her bag and wrapped her arms around me. I buried my face in her shoulder, my voice breaking into pieces. He proposed, Liv. He proposed to her, while I was waiting for him in the rain. I thought I was his love, but I was nothing. Just his secret. Just his mistake. Olivia's own eyes filled with tears as she stroked my hair, whispering firmly, "No, Camila. You're not a mistake. He used your love as his lie, but you are worth more than secrets. You are worth someone who will stand beside you in the light, not hide you in the dark." Her words sank deep into my shattered heart. I wanted to believe them. But all I felt in that moment was emptiness. I whispered through the tears, I gave him everything. And he left me with nothing. Olivia hugged me tighter, refusing to let go. "No, Camila. You still have yourself. And I promise you, one day, you'll see that's more than enough." For the first time in weeks, I let myself cry without holding back. Because in Olivia's arms, I finally realized. Someone saw me, not the secret. The next morning, my apartment was still filled with the echoes of last night's tears. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at my phone, his name glowing on the screen like a ghost I couldn't escape. Every fiber of me wanted to call him. To demand answers. To beg him to explain why I wasn't enough. But another voice whispered in my mind, Olivia's voice. You're worth more than secrets. My hands trembled as I opened his contact. Memories flashed through me like shards of glass. His late-night texts, the way he held my hand in the dark, the lies he fed me with a smile. My thumb hovered over the screen. Delete. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. It felt like erasing a part of myself, like cutting away the last thread of a dream I had once believed in. But then I exhaled and pressed it. Delete. His name vanished. My phone went silent, but my heart screamed. The tears came fast, spilling down my face as I curled into a ball on my bed, clutching the pillow to my chest. I whispered through sobs, why does letting go hurt more than holding on? And yet, even in the pain, there was something different this time. A flicker. A breath of freedom hidden beneath the grief. Because for the first time, Daniel couldn't reach me. And maybe, just maybe, that was the beginning of healing. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my phone silent beside me. But even without the messages, without the calls, he was still everywhere. Every corner of my mind carried a piece of him. I closed my eyes, and the memories came flooding back. The late-night coffees where he whispered my name like it was fragile. The way his hand brushed mine in secret. The laughter in his car when we played songs too loud, pretending the world outside didn't exist. For a moment, I could almost feel his warmth again. I could almost believe the promises he had made me. But then the images twisted. His smile in the proposal photos, his arms around someone else, his lips pressed to hers. The same lips that had once told me, "You're my future." My stomach knotted as I whispered into the darkness. How can memories that once made me so happy now feel like knives? Tears spilled down my cheeks as I buried my face in the pillow. It felt like every laugh we'd shared had turned into a lie. Every touch into a betrayal. I thought holding on to the good memories would save me. But tonight, they only broke me further. I sat by the window of my apartment, the city lights glowing faintly in the distance. The world outside looked alive, people laughing, cars rushing, life moving forward. But inside, I felt frozen. I picked up my diary, the same one where I had once written Daniel's name over and over again. The pages stared back at me like scars, filled with promises that never came true. I took a deep breath and whispered aloud, not to him, not to Olivia, but to myself, and to anyone willing to listen. My secret love felt like everything, but in the end, it left me with nothing. The words hung in the air, heavy and sharp. For the first time, I admitted the truth without excuses, without pretending. I pressed my hand against the glass, watching the raindrops slide down the window, and my voice cracked as I continued. I gave my heart to a man who never planned to give me his. I let myself believe in promises that were never real. And now, all I have are shadows of a love that was never mine to begin with. Tears welled in my eyes, but I didn't hide them. Not this time. Because this wasn't about secrets anymore. It was about facing the truth, even if it broke me. The night grew quieter, and for the first time in weeks, my tears slowed. I sat back, clutching my diary, and whispered the words that had been circling in my chest since the beginning. My secret love was also my biggest mistake. Saying it out loud felt like ripping open a wound. But it also felt like the first stitch of healing. I thought back to every moment, the stolen smiles, the promises whispered in the dark, the nights waiting in the rain. They had felt like love. They had felt like everything. But real love doesn't make you hide. Real love doesn't make you feel small, or invisible, or like a shadow in someone else's life. For the first time, I admitted the truth to myself. I wasn't his future. I was his secret. And I deserve more than that. My voice cracked as I closed the diary and placed it back in the drawer. Mistakes hurt. They break us. But they also teach us. And this one taught me never to settle for love that has to stay hidden. I looked back at my reflection in the window. My eyes were still red, my face still tired. But for the first time, my lips curved into the faintest, most fragile smile. Not for him. Not for anyone else. But for me. The city was quiet that night, the streets glistening after a fresh rain. I stood by my window, looking out at the world beyond the glass. For the first time in months, I wasn't waiting for his call. I wasn't checking for his texts. I wasn't whispering promises to a man who would never keep them. Instead, I whispered to myself, "I'll never hide again." The words felt strange at first, but powerful. I repeated them, stronger this time. I'll never hide again. Next time, my love will stand in the light. I turned away from the window and caught my reflection in the glass. The girl staring back at me was not the same girl who had once scribbled his name across diary pages. Her eyes were tired, yes. Her heart carried scars. But she was stronger. She had survived her secret love. And she had survived her biggest mistake. As I switched off the light and walked toward my bed, a soft, genuine smile finally touched my lips. Not the smile I wore to cover pain. Not the smile I wore to keep a secret. But a smile that belonged only to me. A smile of freedom.